Life Beats. With Sally Musa. Only on Pulse 95.
A very exciting exhibition is about to open. This is GEO, Earth and its Materiality in Ceramics, in the ceramics of Michael Rice. It's an exhibition that is opening this Saturday, the 23rd of February at 1971 Design Space. And with me in the studio is the artist himself. Michael, welcome to Life Beats.
Good morning, Sally. How are you doing?
Really great to have you. Now, your work is stunning.
Thank you.
Let's just start from there. You are, in fact, a ceramicist, somebody who has been... How long have you been working in this field? 20 years, did you say?
I did my degree in Belfast starting in 1993.
Well.
So it's been a while.
And this is one of those ancient arts that requires mastery. But you've taken it to a whole nother level, which we'll get to in a minute. I want to know all about your amazing creative process. You have to check out Michael Rice on Instagram and what he's been up to in the lead up to this beautiful exhibition. So, but just let's start with the exhibition name, GEO.
GEO, yeah. GEO is a prefix of many words: geography, geology, geographic. So GEO is Greek for earth. So as a ceramicist, I'm dealing with clay and I'm dealing with materials which are from the earth. So I'm also, to a degree, making geometry from geology.
Beautiful.
So it seemed wholly appropriate, and it just seemed like it was a great title for the show.
It almost links back as well to, Islamic design and the geometry that happens there.
Exactly.
And the inspiration that we take from nature to create geometric patterns.
Absolutely. And I've certainly been since I've been living in the region for the last 10 years, I've certainly been more interested in geometry than I ever have before, because I see it everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's definitely become more an interest to me.
There are so many different things that this particular exhibition and your work is very much inspired by, including beauty, form, texture, harmony, symmetry, patterns, in fact, and tessellation, as well as chaos. Take us through your creative process and what inspires you.
Well, it all starts off with a sort of idea of praxis. And praxis is learning by doing.
Yes.
So you do something and then you get it. It's like a call and response, or a question and an answer. So you don't exactly know what you're going to do, but you take an action and you get an answer. And then the next question is to the left or the right of the answer you had. And then you get another answer. And so it's like this cyclical process where you do something and then you get a reaction and then you find something out. And then it's a way of getting answers to questions that you can't really formulate.
Exactly, because there are all these concepts that you're exploring and then they take on this tangible form within your ceramics. Tell me about why you wanted to become a ceramicist in the first place.
I remember I did a foundation degree in Belfast, and I remember when there was a group of us all saw the ceramic professor on the wheel. And we were first on the wheel, and it was like, oh, wow, right, we've got to master this.
Yeah.
Because when you get on the wheel...
It looks cool.
It looks cool, and it looks easy. Somebody who does it well makes it look really slick and really easy.
Yeah.
And then you get on it and you go, oh, no, this is really hard. How did you make that look so easy? And so that is really compelling. And then you think, okay, I've got to master this. I've got to get good at this.
Yeah.
And to do that takes a long time, and it takes a real commitment. And that's the thing about ceramics. It's a real, when I'm talking to other artists, say if you're a conceptual artist or you're working with ideas, you can, for ceramics, you need a real commitment. It's like monogamy. You have to be monogamous to the material.
Completely.
You can't do anything else because it just requires so much of your attention.
Yeah, completely. And that skill, how long did it take you kind of to master the whole skill?
Well, still learning, Sally.
Yeah.
Still learning all the time. And, what is it they say? There's a great phrase, an expert is just somebody who's made all the mistakes there is to make. Did
you have to go and learn with masters, or how do you do it?
I did my degree in Belfast, and one of my tutors was Takeshi Yasuda. And Takeshi Yasuda is a Japanese potter who's incredibly famous. And Takeshi would say things. I remember taking work to him, and he would say things like, I would say, Takeshi, how do I make this better? And he would say, well, make 1,000 more and it'll be way better. And I would say to him, I would look incredulous and say, 1,000? But what he meant was, just do a lot of this. Spend a week take a week and do nothing but make this, and you'll become really good at it. And he was absolutely right. So there's a lot of learning by repetition.
Yes.
You can't shortcut things.
No.
I mean, you can have you need talent to begin with, but perseverance will always beat talent, because you especially in ceramics, you just need to keep pushing it, because the kiln will find you out. When you fire something, if you didn't do it properly, you open it up and it's wrong.
Yeah.
That's just it.
And you spent like hours and hours and hours of making this thing and firing it, and not knowing what's going to come out. And then if you've done it all wrong,
it's a disaster.
It's done.
And there's no way to mitigate that. You have to get it right. It's the kiln finds you out.
Oh, the patience.
Yeah, it requires. And I'm not known for my patience, but apparently it must be there somewhere.
Exactly,
Yeah.
it definitely must be there somewhere. So take us through some of the pieces that you've created for this particular exhibition.
Okay, so as you mentioned, some of the work has been created in porcelain, and porcelain is a fascinating material. Marco Polo introduced porcelain from China. Nobody knows quite when, but it turned up in Europe in the sort of 1600s. And Europe basically went crazy for porcelain. It was called white gold because it was incredibly lucrative. All the European aristocracy wanted this because they had previously been using stoneware. And the difference between porcelain and stoneware is that when you hold porcelain up to the light, it's translucent.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's translucent. And the reason is, everybody knows this now. They didn't know this in 1600. The reason why porcelain is translucent is because it's 50% glass. So when you make a clay, you can make your own clay bodies, and they're composed of different materials. And mostly, there's a little bit of glass in them usually, but porcelain has 50% glass. And so when European traders went back to Jingdezhen in China and said, wow, everybody's interested in this, what is this stuff? The Chinese said, we're not going to tell you. We're going to sell you this. Okay, so that sparked like hundreds of years of innovation in Europe. All these potters crazily trying to figure out what this stuff is, because this is the, we can make a lot of money if we know how to do this. So one of the things they created was bone china. And bone china is actually a really superior type of porcelain. It's completely an invention of the West. It is, if you've ever burned your fingernails or burned your hair, there's a very specific smell.
Right.
And that is because there's glass in your fingernails and in your hair, the little tiny deposits of silica. And so potters realized if we take bones and burn them, we get bone ash. And bone ash is very high in silica. So they mixed bone ash with white clay and made bone china. So bone china is made from bones. So they went to slaughterhouses and got literal tons of bones and burned them and made bone ash, and then introduced that to the clay to make bone china.
That is, I had no idea.
Yeah, it's kind of.
This is where bone
Yeah, it's kind of
comes
disgustingly
from.
crazy.
But that's fantastic.
Yeah.
We're going to come back with you, Michael, in just a moment. I want to learn more about this and the amazing techniques that you use when you're firing as well to produce those effects that you do, fantastic effects on your work. More to come with Michael Rice right after this.
Life Beats with Sally Musa, only on Pulse 95.
It is Life Beats, and we are talking to the Irish artist based here in the UAE, Michael Rice, as he is about to open his exhibition this Saturday, February 23rd, called GEO, Earth and Its Materiality in the Ceramics of Michael Rice. Now, Michael, are you excited for the opening of the exhibition?
Very excited, and there's going to be a throwing demonstration as well.
Yes!
So,
oh my gosh, fantastic. I love it.
So I'll be on the wheel trying to make it look good, trying to make it look easy.
Is it going to be like the ghost scene or not quite?
Not quite. Yeah, I'll be certainly throwing. There'll be no ghosts. But yeah, hopefully not.
It just made it like iconic. I don't know that particular
people
scene.
always say, still people say that.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But that's fantastic. So are you going to be like creating in front of people? Because that's magical, that process.
Yeah.
When you're throwing clay. Wow. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, it's all about the process. So I will be, I mean, it'll only last for 15 minutes. And the process usually is, so you would throw something, and depending on the height, you might throw it in sections. So you might throw a section and then you throw another section and then dry them off and then join them, depending on how high you want it to be. But the work in the show is not just thrown. It's also what's a process known as slip casting. And slip casting is where you take a liquid clay and you pour it into a mold, and then you let it sit for a specific amount of time, maybe half an hour, and then you pour it out. And the mold is plaster, so it's super absorbent. So it sucks the clay to the side of the wall and creates like a skin of clay, and then you pour the excess out, and then after an hour that it sits in the mold, you can remove it, and it's like a little clay object.
Oh, wow.
So interestingly as well, one of the things I've been doing of late is creating, because it's interesting. Ceramics is very ancient technology, so to speak. But I have been using computers to create designs and then 3D printing objects and then making plaster molds from them and then making ceramic objects from them. And then so there's a real sort of high-tech, lo-fi aspect to the whole thing. There's a sort of nice balance.
Yeah.
So that's something that you can see in the show. And some of the works, I was talking earlier on about porcelain, some of the pieces that have been slip cast in porcelain.
Beautiful.
And so they have light behind them. But again, porcelain is a very tricky substance to use because, as I mentioned, it's 50% glass. So to get it to become translucent, you have to activate the glass. So you have to get it to the glass's melting point. And that's like about 1250 degrees. But that's also at the point when it's least stable. And porcelain has this specific quality that it has what's called a memory. And if you have it in a shape and then alter that shape, it wants to get back to the first shape. And it does that at the highest temperature.
Wow.
So you have to account for the movement in the firing. So there's a lot of problems and a lot of potential failure when you start. So you have to prepare yourself when you start any new process. It's like learning a new computer program. Like I'm familiar with Photoshop, but if I go to learn another Adobe, I understand the interface, I understand the basics of it, but I don't have a clue about the program, and I have to start learning everything again.
That's amazing.
So you're always doing these learning curves, and when you start something new.
That is amazing. I love, learning that about what you think is actually an inanimate object, and it is, but you're talking about something that's got a memory in it, the way it moves and the science behind it. It's fascinating.
Yeah. One of the other processes that you'll see on display in the work is a lot of the work is raku fired, and raku is a Japanese word that means enjoyment, and it's a chaotic process, and it's where you for all ceramics are initially made and dried and then fired once, and they're fired up to what's called biscuit temperature, and that's 1,000 degrees. And then
I'm imagining cookies going into the oven at this stage, but no, that's not what we're talking about.
Well, there wouldn't be very much cookies left at 1,000 degrees, but yeah. So you fire them to 1,000, and then you take them out and you apply a glaze. And the reason to fire them to 1,000 is to make them stable enough to add the glaze, because the glaze is full of water, and if you dry ceramic and then put water on it, it becomes very unstable.
Because you're taking them out while they're at the peak, white hot.
The raku process, first of all, they're fired, and then I take them out, let them cool down normally, and then I apply a glaze to them. And then I fire them in a raku kiln. And the raku kiln is an outdoor gas kiln. And it has to be outdoor because we open the kiln at 1,000 degrees. And it's very strange. It's very counterintuitive. 1,000 degrees is hot. And counterintuitively, you have to walk towards it.
How do you even get it that hot?
Well, the kiln is, it's a gas kiln.
That's
you just
insane.
Turn it up.
And then it's on.
It goes very quickly. You can get it up to 1,000 degrees in about an hour.
Wow.
Yeah. So then the process is you open the door. You have to have protective gauntlets on and a mask and everything else. But you have a set of tongs, and you grab the pieces, and you then take them out, and they're literally like magma. They're glowing red. And like I say, it's very counterintuitive. You can't be thinking about the phone bill or the argument you had with your wife earlier on or whatever it is, because you have to be right there, because if you're not right there, if anything goes wrong, you have to be very focused. So then you have to take the pieces out and put them into a metallic bin with combustible materials. And then, of course, it goes on fire, and that's how you get all the subtle cracks, the subtle, beautiful lines, which are the memory of the firing. And the thing that is important to me about that is that I'm trying to make the work, the form, seem incredibly correct and incredibly logical.
Yeah.
And then I want the surface to be totally random and totally intuitive. So I'm looking for that balance of, you mentioned earlier on, chaos and order. So it's the controlled and the uncontrolled. When you look at a river delta, if you see aerial photographs of a river delta, they're just incredibly beautiful. And it's like there's so much, the balance of order and chaos is indivisible. When you look at I love going to the desert here. I see the sand dunes. Sand dunes are just so incredibly beautiful. They have this mesmerizing pattern, and not a grain of sand is out of place. And they're just so perfect in their both their sort of, again, their order and their chaos, indivisible. So there's that sort of point you're trying to get right on the middle of things. You're trying to get that real balance.
It's incredible, the concepts behind all of this, the deep reflection that happens to create these gorgeous pieces. We are in conversation with Michael Rice as he is about to open his exhibition at 1971 Design Space. More to come with Michael after this.
Life Beats with Sally Musa, only on Pulse 95.
Wow. It's just such a fun conversation with Michael, honestly. Michael Rice is in the studio. He's an artist, a ceramicist, if I can get that word out. But, so much more. Wabi-sabi. Wabi-sabi. Hang on.
Yeah.
Get you up, yeah.
It's this, it's a Japanese concept, and it's difficult to explain, but it's like the beauty of the ordinary. Yeah. And it's like the beauty of a stone or of a shell or of something really molded over time. Or the beauty of your grandmother.
Yeah.
Or it's the antithesis of the sort of beauty of an iPhone or a Porsche or something that's been designed and honed in that very sort of
very purposefully trying to seduce you, but actually
not as seductive perhaps as a really beautiful shell.
Right.
That is not trying to seduce you whatsoever, but is just something that is organically it's the application of time and beauty and pressure and organic materials over time multiplied by time, blah, 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 so you end up with this thing which is just it would be very difficult to create.
It'd be impossible to create, in fact.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like seeing that beauty in the simplest, possibly most mundane things around you and realizing there's so much wonder in everything, which is, where you get a lot of your inspiration from nature.
Exactly. If I could make things as good as nature made them, I'd be very happy.
Oh,
that's the real. That's the real. If I can make it look like it's. I also like the idea of people coming in, if there was some tomb that was unearthed somewhere in the world, that these objects wouldn't look out of place in them.
Right.
So they look like they're artifacts.
Timeless.
But exactly. They look like they're modern artifacts. So they can fit anywhere. They have this timeless quality.
They do. They do. Speaking of nature and timelessness, Malaysia.
Malaysia, yeah, what an incredible place. I had a visit there. And it's an archaeological center, and they have a museum, and of course there's lots of ceramics. And I was taken to all the various different sites, and there's always ceramic shards on the ground. And so I was looking at the different profiles of the different ceramics that I saw. And actually, there's a commission in the exhibition which has all this as a theme. So there's one specific area there. There's a rock formation, and apparently there's been evidence of human beings there for 40,000 years.
Yes.
Which I couldn't. It's incredible to believe. So yeah, that was an inspiration. It was really nice to visit. And apparently that place is so far out that whenever there's some astronomical events, when there's there was a blood moon not so long ago, and there was something else. That's the place to see it.
Exactly.
Because there's no light around.
It's just stunning. It's not disturbed by artificial light.
Exactly.
From the cities. It's an incredible place, the Malaysia Desert. But something that we absolutely have to talk about is the fact that you are, in fact, a member of the International Academy of Ceramics.
Internet IAC, yeah.
Very exclusive club now.
Yeah, it's I was thrilled when I became a member. It was very a career high point.
Yeah.
To become a member, you have to be nominated by 3 other members, and there's only membership happens every 2 years. So
how many members are there worldwide?
There's only currently about 400. But it's a roll call of the best ceramicists living in the world today, and many of the names you wouldn't know, but. Previous members include Marc Chagall and Picasso, so that's the sort of caliber of artists we're talking. Obviously not as but they were members. But actually, Jacques Kaufman who was the president up until very recently. He's actually just become the president emeritus. So he has written the essay for the exhibition catalogue.
Wow.
And he will be visiting in June, and we're going to have a conversation, and we're going to have an evening with Jacques. So I'm really thrilled that he agreed to do that.
That
and
is
he's coming.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
It's very cool.
We have to say that this exhibition does go all the way into August, so there is a bit of time to see it, but I would advise everybody to get down to the opening on the 23rd of February, be there and meet Michael as well. But it's just incredible work. Some of your favourite pieces from the exhibition that you want people to watch out for?
I love them all. I can't,
it's like picking a favourite child, right?
Yeah, I can't. They're very personal. I mean, there's things about all of them I love. I mean, there's been when you're doing something like this, you have to make more than you're going to show,
right?
And then you select the best ones. So these are all the ones that I'm really happy with.
We were talking a little bit off air about the way that ceramics are alive, that you could be trying to do things in one way and whatever, but it kind of almost has its own life, and it could do anything, whatever comes out of the kiln.
Well, that's it. It's sometimes you're really pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
It might take you a while. I mean, if you're looking for outcome A and you get outcome C, you may initially be disappointed and thinking, but then you realize actually C might have been better than A. So when you're really focused on things, you miss, sometimes you get a result which is better than the one you're looking for.
Amazing.
And that again can take you in a new direction which you hadn't anticipated, and can spark a whole new element to your practice. So you're always looking for those happy accidents.
What's the next for you, Mr. Michael Rice?
Next for me, well, I have been selected for the Korean Ceramic Biennial, which is also a big deal. That's happening in September. I'm going in March. I'm going to speak at Rhode Island School of Design, which is
in New York.
It's in Providence, it's just down from Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to speak. I have an invitation to talk at the ceramics department there, which is really cool because it's one of the best art colleges in the world.
Amazing.
Then there's a lot of stuff happening with this exhibition, but I also then have an exhibition in London, in Throne Gallery in September as well. I forget the dates of that exactly, but
that is just phenomenal, and
Yeah.
I can see why you're in such demand all over the world. Michael Rice, your work is stunning. We're so excited for the exhibition.
I have to give a shout out
Yes.
to all the students at AUD and all the faculty and all my friends. I teach at AUD, American
Yes.
University in Dubai. I'm a professor of studio art, and I'm actually the adjunct. I'm currently the interim chair of the department there as well. So a big shout out to everyone there for their love and support always. Thank you very much, AUD.
Amazing.
And thanks very much to 1971 as well.
Yes.
Fat Man, Rod and Nina, they've been amazing.
Yes, and we're so excited. 6 p.m. is going to be the exhibition opening this Saturday, as we said, February 23rd. Make sure you are down there. Come and see Michael. Come and see him throwing live, creating ceramics. It's mesmerizing. I love that process. Even if you're not doing it yourself, watching somebody create is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your story, and we can't wait to see your work at the exhibition.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to the show.
Thank you.
The heart of Sharjah.